Hello everyone, this is Tina from Tina's Workshop. Today is July 2nd and it is 77 degrees. No, I take it back. It's up to 79 now. It's supposed to get to 89. This is episode 63 of my vlog. And yeah, let's go. Anything, patterns or anything I talk about, I will link below. Bags, patterns, yarn, whatever. It'll be linked below. If I forget something, just ask me. I'll let you know. I have a number of finished objects today because it's been a couple weeks since I talked to you. So let's just get into it. A while back, I did that Lilo and Stitch yarn. Then I did the Phineas and Ferb Perry the Platypus yarn. And I had little bits. Had some extra that had gotten done on the blending board that was blue and red from the Lilo and Stitch, and it's just itty bitty little mini skein, but I spun it up. And then when I set up my picture for the Perry the Platypus one, I had spun up what I did from Lilo and Stitch, but I hadn't done it with the Perry the Platypus, so I finally did that. So there's two little mini skeins from that. So this one would be the Perry the Platypus, this would be his hat, and the two together lets you recognize them. So anyway, three little mini skeins. I think they look super cute just sitting like that, and there's a good chance that I will add them with the Lilo and Stitch one, and they can be a little decoration or something, unless I decide there's something I want to do with that small of an amount, but it's very small. They actually still need to be wet set. Actually, all the yarn I'm showing you today still needs to be wet set. So this one, I actually spun this last October on my drop spindles, and then I plied it on the drop spindle, but I'd never pulled it off of the drop spindle. And I needed to use the spindle for something, and I was like, oh, I need to deal with this yarn. And then I was like, I already plied this. So I pulled it off, and I need to find my label because I can't remember. I remember what this was, and if I can't find the label, I can go back into a past vlog and find it. I bought the yarn, or not the yarn, the fleece in Carson City, Nevada. So I know what fleece it is. I just have to find, because I still have more of it. So the label should be with that. If not, I know I can go back in my vlog and I'll find it there. But it actually is a really, really nice spin. Very consistent. Very, very pretty. So there will be more of this coming. I just need to get out the rest of the fleece so that can be spun. Something I need to do. And then, if you remember, last month I showed you the Into the World, or last vlog. It was the Into the World that I got for last month. And I got this new little, it's an appointment book, but I'm using it to try and keep track of things because I'm trying to keep Ravelry updated, which I'm being bad about too, but I'm trying. And I'm trying to keep track of how long it takes me to do things and stuff like that. So what I'm doing is just using this specifically to put when I start and stop projects. So anyway, this was the Into the World, and it was the Kent Romney, and it was called Moonfire. So this was the May one, and I spun it all up. And I was looking at this the other day, and I'm like, this is making me think of something. I did it as a fractal spin. So one skein, I did big, long stretches between the colors, and the other skein, or not skein, the bobbin. The other bobbin, I did short stretches. So then when it came together, it fractals so that you see a lot more breaks in the colors. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it laying like this, and I'm like, this is making me think of something. and I finally figured out what it was. Makes me think of the painting the Scream, and especially if it had a little bit more yellow in it. So I think it came out really pretty, but the one thing I did notice, so I did this when I went to Spinner's Day on the farm, which was the same day as Knit and Public Day. And I did one bobbin while I was out there, and then I did the other bobbin at home. It was on the same spinning wheel, but it's a foldable spinning wheel. And so when you set it all back up, you're tensioning, you got to get it all right again and stuff. And I don't know what I did. The one bobbin looked beautiful. The other bobbin, I had a lot of areas. See if you can see this right there on top of my fingernail. I had a lot of areas where I did that and I over twisted through this whole skein. Another spot you can see right there. So it's still a beautiful yarn and it would work great on something, and most likely you would never notice it, but it's definitely not something you would have somebody judge, because I was really looking forward to this one, and I was really disappointed in myself when I started plying it and realized how badly over twisted I had done. If I had pulled it off and done a ply ball, I would have had one skein. I would have had two skeins in, and the one skein probably would have been beautiful, and the other skein would have been all kinky curly. But I mean, it's still real pretty yarn. It would still make something beautiful. I just disappointed in myself that I did that. So anyway, those still need to be wet set. And then while we're still on fleeces, you know how I like to play with different dyes. And I realized my neighbor had some rosemary in the front yard, and I've been wanting to try rosemary. So I pulled some of that, and I took the fresh new shoots. I kind of want to do it another time with some of the older leaves on it, but I used the fresh new shoots, and this was the color that I got from that, which is really kind of a neat color, especially if you're wanting that color. But I'm curious to see what the older shoots would do. So, and you can smell a little bit of that rosemary in there. So anyway, that's one I tried, and I put it in my little book, and if I try the other, then yeah. Okay, on to more finished objects. If you remember, back in February, I got from the discount store in Louisiana, I had found that big thing that had like, I think it was 6 skeins of this loopy yarn. I didn't know it was loopy until after I bought it, but it had the loopy yarn in it. Well, I used it. I finally used it. And this is all that is left of it from what I used. And this is what I made with it. So I did it the way you're supposed to, where you lay it out and you pull this back and you go across and you keep pulling loop through loop. So it's all done with your fingers. Can't say that I particularly like doing that, but for somebody who doesn't know how to knit or crochet or whatever, or if you're doing it with kids, I think it could be great. But so anyway, I took it, I laid it out this way. So this was my width size, and then I just kept going back and forth till I ran out. And it's the perfect size for a baby blanket or a lap blanket, like a wheelchair blanket. It's really cozy because sorry, that probably messed that up. I always do that. It's the chenille, and it's like super cozy. And I've been leaving it folded in half at the foot of my bed. And usually my cat or one of my dogs is laying on it when I walk in there. They love, I don't understand when they're so furry and fuzzy and soft, how they actually, through their fur and everything, know they're on something fluffy and soft, but they do, and they go for it. They gravitate towards it. When, where did he go? Oh, the one that's usually at my feet, he's usually at my feet, Dobby, the little brown one. When he was younger, I would sit down and I'd get a soft fuzzy blanket and I would just say, fuzzy blanket, and he would come running so that he could cuddle up in the blanket. He loved the soft fuzzy blankets. So I've noticed whenever, if I put down something that's not soft and something that is soft, they all go for the soft one. So anyway, this has been sitting at the foot of my bed and they absolutely love it. And it's great when I have cold feet and I just stick my feet under it. So that one's done. And then let's see, what else do I have that's done? Oh, I still have a few things that are done. So last time I showed you a couple different Nancy Bates hats I had finished. And I have another one done. And this is called SoCal Surf. And this is supposed to be, this is like the side panels on the old Woody cars. And then this is the color stripes that are supposed to be reminiscent of surfboards. So I actually made this one for a friend. I'm going to make another one too, because I have two friends I want to give this one to. But it's a really nice, easy pattern if you want to slowly work your way into Nancy Bates stuff. This one has, well, if you look at the inside of my floats, this one has this section here where you've got to carry your yarn, but then all these are straight stripes. So you're changing colors, but you're just doing straight stripes. So you can, and these are all very straightforward as to where these ones go. So it would be a great one to slowly get you into the color work. And anyway, that one's all done and ready to go to its new home. And then I finished another hat. So you remember I was doing that cotton terry yarn, and then I said I was going to make my son a Musselburgh hat that he wanted. And this looks slightly stretched already because he's already been using it. And I told him, I said, I need to borrow it. So it's already been on his big head. He wanted it so that when he got out of the shower, because he has really, really long hair, and he likes to put a hat on to help absorb some of the water and, you know, keep from having water running down his back, kind of like those little towel thingies they have now like this, but he likes to put a beanie on. Well, this being that cotton terry, he's like, I want this for when I get out of the shower. So he used it yesterday when he got out of the shower and he loved it. And especially where it's that double wall thickness, then most of that moisture all stayed inside and the outside was still nice and dry. So when he could feel that it was really soaked up, he pulled that off. And I was doing some laundry, so we actually threw it in the dryer to help it dry up. But then he made a label to put on it. And if you know, you know. It's the Omnitrix logo from Ben 10. So this is trying to get it to like stay, but like I said, he's already been wearing it. So, but this yarn worked really nice for this. And where I had the smaller needle, I mean, it worked great for this. So yeah, if you let it all go down, there you go. That one is done. I was really glad to get that done for him. And honestly, after making the top that failed and then this, I've been working with this yarn for quite a while. And I was like, I just want to work with a different yarn right now. So our yarn hop So we don't do a yarn crawl here. We do a yarn hop because there's only 5 stores in our county. And because it's a yarn hop, we always have like a bunny theme to it. And so this year I was thinking, man, it's a shame we don't do some sort of crochet along, knit along, whatever. And as I'm thinking this, I get an email and they decided to do something this year. So they didn't have a specific, like, okay, it's just this pattern or something. It was more of an idea, and they sent a number of ideas, simple, free, through paid, more detailed patterns, and they did knit ones and crochet ones. And since we have a bunny theme to our hop, it's a bunny theme to the make along. So one of the ones that was a very, very simple one was being done with either a crochet square or a knit square. And I had some extra squares from when I did the Wonderland Yarns blanket last year, like that one right there. So I used one of those and made this cute little bunny. How cute is that with his little fuzzy tail? And I could have put the face on him, but I think I kind of like him without the face. And the idea is you bring your little bunny with you. If you do, then you get extra entries for the raffles that are at each store and stuff. So I used the square, made him, so he's Wonderland Yarns, and his tail was from the January 2024. That was the January colorway. So I made his tail with that. I think he looks super cute. But because I couldn't stop there, I decided to do the more detailed pattern that's the knit one. And the one of the stores is actually selling kits, so you get the pattern and you get the yarn and you can do it, and it was like $50 for the kit. And I'm like, no, I've got plenty of yarn, I'm gonna buy the pattern and do it. And I'm putting, I should have already been putting these up, so you guys know I put up the pattern with the name and stuff, and it'll be down below because I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the pattern or the author of it. But it's a cute little bunny. How cute is that? And I had this yarn, and it's Coast to Coast Dye Works. I got it at Lambtown last year. Lambtown. And I thought, oh, this would be cute for a bunny. The gray with the little bits of blue, which after I did this, then I found another gray that would have been perfect. But I think it's absolutely adorable. And the pattern actually comes with little patterns to make clothes for it too. So I may eventually make some clothes, but for now I have the bunny done. And I did, let's see, I started the bunny on the 22nd, and I finished the bunny on the 24th. So it only took me a couple days to finish it. So it's a pretty simple pattern. You start here and you make your 2 legs, then you connect them together and you work all the way up through the body, and then you do some special stitches here so you know where you're at. And then you keep working all the way up, and you do the head all the way down to the nose. It actually works like making a sock, the heel flap and gusset, but you do the heel flap and then you work down to the toe basically. And then you pick up stitches and you work your ear, and then pick up stitches, work your ear, and then you pick up stitches and work your arm and your arm. So there's no external sewing. However, I will say myself, it just felt better to me. I went back with my tail because I had my tail sticking out here from when I picked up stitches, and I put extra stitches here and here. I know it wasn't going to come off, but I just felt like it was stronger feeling to me. So I did that, and then the ears are tacked down just a little bit, again with that tail, so that they stay down. I think it's so super cute. So this little one will be going with me when I do the yarn hop. And they said you can do knit, crochet, needle felt, sew, whatever. So maybe they'll all have to come with me. I'll just have a trio of bunnies hopping with me. Or with the three of us, because I'm sure it'll probably be myself, my sister-in-law, and my friend Mary. 3 bunnies for 3 of us. They're so cute. They're so cute. Okay. And I just remembered I have another finished object. When I looked down at this, I realized I have another finished object that I didn't grab. So I'll have to grab that in a second. But I'll show you this one first. So I would hope by now you've watched my video from last week when I did the crocheted panda that was from the Jacob fleece that was my video from a couple weeks ago. And I think it came out so super cute. Oh, and look at him. He's so cute. So he has been completely done with Jacob fleece. And I actually did his nose by pulling the ply apart. So I had a thinner thread. So I was doing that with the single. And I did that. And I actually used the other half of that I pulled apart to make the nose on the bunny. So both of their noses are Jacob. Thank you. They're best friends. Here we go. We got a trio of animals. Anyway, I think he came out really cute. And so he's crocheted, where this one's knit, this one's crocheted, and they're done very similar. They both started here. Well, you made his head first. But then when you did this, you started the 2 legs and then worked the legs together and worked the body up. But where this one has no sewing and you picked up all these stitches, this one, you sewed the arms on, you sewed the ears on, you sewed the eyes on, sewed the head on. So, but I don't mind the sewing. The sewing doesn't bother me. Some people just really don't like it. And this pattern actually had 2 patterns. It had a no-sew pattern and the sewn pattern. And when I looked at the finished pandas on the 2, with the 2 differences, I thought this one looked nicer, which is why I specifically chose the one that was being sewn, because I thought it was just a nicer looking panda when it was done. So those, well, I'm going to go grab the one other finished object. Okay, so you guys know, if you've been with me, you know by now that I like my little crocheted yarn bowls, which I have a video on these. And so this one stays right here by my desk that I use specifically for the yarn bowl. And it's got, you know, my scissors and my needles and stuff like that. And then I'll stick my yarn right here. So it's always right there. I'll have another one just like that I usually keep by my bed for my remotes and my glasses and things like that. But I have to, like, the center part is where I'll put the remotes and my glasses and stuff, and then I'm fiddling with things, and I'm like, I want something a little more organized next to my bed. I still like, sometimes I'll set that one on the bed with me, because then I can stick things into it and it sets, because it can curve to what it needs to. But I have a number of other things by the bed that I want in it. So I decided I needed to make myself something different. It's not the prettiest looking thing, but it works. And it took me 2 days to do this. I used that thick yarn again because I can work it a little quicker and make sure it's nice and dense. But then there was a number of pieces that I sewed and then had to finagle, and it wasn't the easiest thing to sew in either. But this is what I ended up with. Kind of makes me think of like a high top tennis shoe. And yes, there's a stitch marker there, because I'll be working on something in bed and be like, oh, I need a stitch marker. So I always keep one by the bed. But it's got a couple different compartments. And I did this shape on purpose so that the taller things could be back here and hold in, and then smaller things up here. And I actually had planned on putting my glasses in this one, But what I've ended up doing is leaving that round one in there, and I can kind of toss my glasses into it and it's easy to get to. But I have, you know, back scratcher, things like that in here. Remotes are right here. What I was, and again, it's kind of like evolved. So I was going to be a remote in each spot and then the glasses. Instead, I've got the two remotes. That one's for my bed. So the two remotes are right there in their own little spot, where this is in its own spot and these things are in their own spots. And it fits perfectly right there next to my bed in this like little shape. So like I said, it may not be the most beautiful thing, but it works perfectly. And I like these types of things as opposed to like one made out of wood or something, because they're more quiet. You know, you're not banging the stuff into it because it's soft. Plus, again, if you do say you decide to set it on the bed, you know, you can conform it depending on where it's at. It's going to set a little bit better. So anyway, that's another finished object. So I think that's all the finished objects that I have. And oh, we're up to 83 degrees now. So works in progress. I am still working on my vanilla socks, but I didn't pull them out because I literally have done about 2 rows since you saw it last, because I was bringing the Musselburgh hat with me because, you know, my vanilla socks are my to-go thing. And I was trying to work on that Musselburgh hat, so I kept bringing it with me. I did pick up my batade again, but again, I've only worked on like maybe a row, so I wasn't going to pull it out. And since I finished the Musselburgh, I haven't started on another thing because I'm trying to get my Tour de Fleece stuff prepped, because Tour de Fleece starts on the 5th, and I'll get more into that in a minute. So really the only other thing I have that's a work in progress right now is the Blair Athol blanket by Marian Mitchell. And I have just done the last row of one set through the colors. So did I have a mark? Yeah, I did have a marker. So when I showed it to you guys last time, it was right there. So I haven't done a whole lot, but it is now one full color set. So that's all the colors. And I think I had said there was 21. There's actually 19 colors here, though there is 20 colors in the bag because there's 2 skeins that are smaller. So I'm working one, and then when I run out of that one, it's going to get replaced by this other one so that it kind of creates a bigger skein. And they were close in color. So this is one set of colors. So I got to this point and I'm showing my husband and I'm like, oh yeah, so if you go like this, you know, it's going to keep repeating like this. And which looks very cool. But then my husband looked and he had another idea. And I showed it to my son and he liked it too. So I think this might be what I do. Is go in reverse. So it'll go like, you know, in almost like a wave. And let's see if I can hold this. I was showing my son earlier this way, but I don't know if I can hold it well enough. Let's see. To kind of give you an idea of, yeah, I don't know if I can get that held right. So you can kind of see how it'll go back and forth. Ah, you get it. So I think that's what I'm going to do though. I think my next row will be this same color. Now, because I have 19 and not 20, then when I start my next color, it's going to offset. So you can see these lines of green. So I did, if you remember, I was doing a green, and then a different one, whether it was brown or a multiple color or more of a white one, whatever. So I've got these two stripes of color. Well, I ended on a green. I started on a green. So when my next one comes, which is going to be the same green, it's now going to be in this spot. So in the next section, the green row is going to be on top of this row and vice versa. Then when I get to the next one, it's going to switch again. So it's actually going to make it kind of go like this, which is going to add one more dimension. It's not going to be super noticeable, but I think once you get more of the blanket done, you're going to notice this little thing going back and forth, which I think is going to add just another aspect of difference. You know what I mean. You guys get it right. Oh, come on, get in there. I'm trying to move the stitch marker. Progress keeper. Little wrench. See? A little wrench. Isn't that cute? I made that one. I knew I'd get interrupted. At least I muted the phone, but anyway, that's where I'm at on this, and that's how I think I'm going to continue on that. A pretty scarf. Look at that. It would work. It would actually make a really pretty scarf if I wore scarves. I've been like paying attention to the different things I make, and I have like this stack going. Some are right here, some I've set over here, of all these different hats and stuff and scarves and things that I make all the time. I don't wear them. I just like to make the stuff. That's why I think I gravitate towards blankets a lot too, because I will use the blankets. I just don't use the other stuff. Okay, let's see. So that's my works in progress right now. Let's do acquisitions and my husband's stuff, and then I'll talk about the tour de Fleece. So I don't actually have that many acquisitions, considering how long it's been since I've talked to you. If you saw my short the other day, if you didn't, you should go watch it. But if you saw my short the other day, I got 16 skeins of this glow-in-the-dark chenille, and I've had a few people give me ideas of what to do with it. I got this the same way I had gotten all this, which is one of the reasons why I knew what I was looking at when I saw it, because it was in this, you know, vacuum sealed bag and being white, and you couldn't see what it was. Of course, I read the label. You know, when you go into those kind of places, you have to read the labels. But as soon as I saw it, I picked it up and went for it because I knew it was going to be something like this. So each bag, vacuum sealed bag, had 8 skeins of this glow-in-the-dark chenille, and I got 2 of them. I paid $1 for each one of them. And then inside of that also had a crochet hook, stitch markers, little eyes, and a yarn needle, which I didn't notice when I did the short, but there's a yarn needle in there too. I don't know what the size hook is. Oh yes, I do. It says right there. It's a 5 millimeter. It's a 5 millimeter crochet hook. I caught it. You can always use extra crochet hooks, right? And eyes. So I'm wondering if it was originally sold as a kit for something, but there was no pattern in the bag. And I would have thought it would have had a pattern. So I don't really know, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eyes. There's 5 eyes. You would have thought there would have been 4 or 6, but there's 5 eyes. Let's see what this one has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this one has 6 eyes. I'm going to say this one was missing one. Oh, no, wait. Where was it hiding? There's 6 there now. I swear there was 5 a second ago. So there's 6 eyeballs in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 stitch markers. So 6 eyeballs, 6 stitch markers, yarn needle, and crochet hook. So I'm going to assume that it was probably to make something amigurumi, and I'm thinking about little ghosts with it because that's I've had a couple people say ghosts, and I'm like, oh, that would be great with the glow in the dark. So that will be something to look forward to probably in October. I might do a tutorial and do my own little ghost pattern. But anyway, I have a lot of it. And it was a really good deal. I mean, come on, $2. And I was very happy that it wasn't a loopy yarn because I was trying to figure out with this loopy yarn what I could have done with it, like just crocheting it or something, which you could go through and snip between each one of these loops and just make it a yarn, but that would have taken forever. So anyway, this is what I got out of that. So anyway, the same day that I got this, I also got this. And I kept seeing them in the bins and I was like, look like just some cheap little whatever. But I decided to check one out after I'd seen them a couple times. And I opened it up and I looked, and it actually says DIY digital painting on this. Then it says painting by number here. Be the best present for your family, friends, lover, and yourself. Why lover? It says paint by number 16 by 20 inch. Anyway, so I decided to see what was in here, and I'm like, okay, definitely has kind of that cheap paint by number thing in there, but we'll see. So I pull it out and I'm like, first thing I notice, there's a nice canvas there. I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. I pull it all the way out and then I see what this one was. And it's a VW van. And I love VW vans. I grew up with ones. I love VW vans. And these are like totally my colors. Hello, look at all the green and then the other autumnal colors. So me. I'm like, okay, this is really kind of cool. And somewhere on here, well, I saw where it says digital. And so I don't really know exactly how this works. And I have not opened this up yet to look further. But I thought this is really cool. And my son's girlfriend loves to paint. So I grabbed this one for myself because hello, VW van, but I knew I'd been seeing these everywhere. So every time I picked one up, I started sliding it out to see what the picture was. And I got her one that has really pretty flowers across it. Again, $1 each. I mean, the canvas itself is worth that, even if I didn't do it. Let's see. Ooh. Okay, so it's got paint brushes and little hangers. Canvas hangers. Oh, interesting. Then you've got all your paints with numbers on them. Oh, wow. Okay, so it's printed onto the canvas. And you have a paper. Find the color to be painted starting from the 6th. Draw along the line and don't show it. Wash the color after painting and dry the brush after washing. Find the next color you want. Repeat step 1, 2, and 3 until complete. So here's the little printout. And here's the canvas. Oh, it's definitely a paint by number. Some of those spots are so itty bitty and tiny. I mean, look, like right there. Look how tiny, right by my finger, top of my fingernail there. Oh, come on, focus. Well, there's a little 7 in there, believe it or not. So even creating those little tiny highlights. Wow. I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. Because how could I not? Just looks fun. And it's a van. It's a van. I have to do it so they can go in my room with all my other stuff like that. So anyway, but for $1? That wasn't bad for $1. Okay, set this over here. Moving on. My husband and I went for our usual drive last Sunday. We like to just drive, go somewhere. And we stopped out at Duncan Mills. If you're from this area, you'll know they do Civil War Days reenactment and stuff. All the years I've lived here, we've never gone to that. I've always wanted to, but I always seem to miss it or we're busy that weekend. But the little general store out there, the cutest little, because not only do I like VW vans, I like the vintage campers, I like the old trucks. My bedroom is all decorated like that. I love that kind of stuff. So I got this cute little bag, and I've had little bags like this before, and they were made out of recycled material. So let's see. 95% post-consumer material. So yeah, it's recycled material and it's got a really nice feel to it. So I like this kind of stuff, and it's the cutest little thing. So notions pouch or whatever. And I picked up a little sticker from the store itself, a little general store, but it had the cute camper on it. I got that. So then we had the Spinner's Day on the farm, and I brought my husband's woodworking to sell, his drop spindles and all that kind of stuff. Had myself a list, everything. Went through the list before I left. Brought everything except for the drop spindles. The main thing that I was bringing to sell, I forgot. Thankfully, I had my wood burn stuff that I did for Lambtown last year, like this, and come on, focus. Stuff like this. Trying to see if I had any of the other sitting here, but I had all that stuff with me. I had crochet hooks. I had a couple other little things. And I actually sold some of that and did a trade with my friend who was also selling stuff there. And I've traded with her before, and I've shown you guys stuff that I've traded with her before. So she'd pick some stuff out that she wanted, and she's like, "You want to trade?" I'm like, "You know me, I like to trade." So I got this one. It is 90% Pygora and 10% Merino from one of her little goat babies. And it's this pretty like white color. There's still a little bit of guard hair, very little. She does pretty, her where she has it processed, they do pretty good, but sometimes you get a few in there. But the guard hair are little tiny black ones, so they're actually really easy to find. But this was from, I know I'm not going to say this right, Sutikina, which was one of her goats that I don't think she still has. So anyway, I traded her and got that. So, and I have another bundle that I traded with her a while back that's in another color. What I was thinking might even be fun is to spin them up, 2 separate bobbins, put them together, because the other one's kind of this slight beige color. And it would just be this really gentle but pretty barber pole color. So I'm thinking I might do that because I think I have about the same amount of each one. And then my Into the World came in for this month. So last month it had come late, which I knew it was coming late, which is why you saw it in the last video. And this month's has come in, and it is gray Corriedale, and it is called Night Gardener, and it is so pretty. I mean, I love all theirs, but these colors are great, especially hello the green. So I'm thinking I might spin this the same way I did the last one. So basically what I did on that last one is I divided and then I spun one bobbin with these longer strips of color, and then the other side I divided that one into 4, so then I had smaller strips of color. So I'm thinking I might do that with this one because I really like the way this one looked, and I think that would look really pretty in these colors. So I'm thinking that's what I'll do with this. And I kind of want to do it right now, but I'm also trying to get ready for Tour de Fleece. However, this would work perfectly with Tour de Fleece, but I do have a goal for myself. And I'm trying to think. I have one more thing to show you. I think I'll show you the one more thing and then go on about my Tour de Fleece goal. So the last thing is my husband's stuff. He has been working hard on creating a new design for an inkle loom. So you guys have seen, I've done videos on the inkle loom, and this is one of the bands that I wove on it. So this is what you do on the inkle loom is you weave bands, and you can do as small as shoelaces. My friend's been doing shoelaces, which is what kind of got this whole thing started. But then you can do like this wide, almost the width of the rods that are on it. You just need to be in a little bit because you don't want it to fall off. But so you can do about this wide on them. And this one is, oh, I had stuff in it. This one I have hooked to an apron. You can do a guitar strap. You could do purse straps. Anything that has a strap you can like replace with the bands. So these looms are specifically made to make bands. And my friend Mary has been doing shoelaces, and she wants to be able to do shoelaces for like boots, but her loom, the full length on it is just a little bit too short for that. It needs like an extra 6 inches, I think, or something like that. So she needed something a little bigger. So we started talking about making an extension for her loom that she could put on it but take off. And in the process of that, my husband and my neighbor and my son all got their heads together and started planning this, and they came up with a new design. And this is actually the second one. The first one he made was for Mary. And of course you keep refining things as you do it. So the second one he did is for me, and he's got a third one he's working on, and he will be selling them when we go to Lambtown. And he will be selling them as he will have ones to sell. He will take orders, and he is open to custom orders. So mine was made out of canary wood. Most of them are going to either be made out of probably maple or birch. But then you can get a custom order and have a different wood. So this one he did for me out of canary wood. It was some wood we had picked up recently, and I really liked it because it was different and unique. So he used that to make mine. And so it's this beautiful yellow color. So this is your normal size of your inkle loom. They do make ones like that are smaller, and they do make ones that are bigger, but they don't make ones that can be different sizes. So this is the general size. The majority of your inkle looms are this size. I have one that is this size. And you can do a few different sizes on this depending on how you warp it. but once you've used all your rods, you're limited to that's how big it is. This one he has made so you can actually extend it. There's a dog at the door that wants out, of course. And now it goes this wide. So you can make a much larger band, but the base size of it is still that smaller size, which is so nice. So I have not woven on this yet. He just finished it for me. So I plan to weave. I've got a guitar strap I've been wanting to do. So I'm going to weave it at the biggest so that I can see what the largest size you can get from it is. And then I drew up a design for him. Majority of the time on this kind of loom, people spin cotton. Sometimes they might spin a wool. They might spin a linen, or I don't know, bamboo, whatever. They might spin something else. But the majority of the time, people spin cotton, mercerized cotton to be exact, because you get the least amount of pilling. So like when I did the band that I just showed you, that one's not mercerized cotton. Well, some of it was, some of it wasn't. And when I did this one, I had a lot of fuzzies that were catching on my heddles and everything. And it wasn't as nice and neat and clean as it really should be. So most of the time people are using cotton, but they're using mercerized cotton. So I decided to make my design with cotton in mind. So I drew a design and then laser cut it, and he has to give me that piece before this is all put together, because this whole thing will not fit in my laser cutter. I have a big one, but it's not that big. So I drew cotton seed pods, and it has his Bill's Workshop logo on it, and that goes right there. But that's something else that we can add in when it comes to a custom one. If somebody has a different spot on here, they want something on, you know, any one of these areas, you could do that. But all of them will automatically come with this on the back. So that's, instead of like just a, you know, little stamp or whatever, I thought it was a nice little detail to go onto it. Now, this piece on mine, as you can see, is a different color. So we did not have a piece of canary wood to put on that. So I have a jar going outside of chrysanthemum leaves for natural dye that I've used in my fleece before. And it makes a yellow dye, and I'm going to try and dye the wood on that so that it will match everything else. So that is what he has been up to. I'm super excited about that, and I'm excited to work on it. So that is all. I don't really have much this life stuff, things like that. I really can't think of much to say that I have going there. I mean, it's just a normal summer, which is just really honestly a basic thing for me when it comes to summertime. But Tour de Fleece is starting on the 5th, and it runs through the end of July. If you do not know what Tour de Fleece is, if you are not a big fleece head like some of us, Tour de Fleece runs in conjunction with Tour de France. And what it is that spinners use that same timeline, and they spin every day. And then technically when there's rest days for Tour de France, then Tour de Fleece, that's your rest day. You don't have to spin that day. Though honestly, I think most of us still spin that day. But there will be different groups that get together. I am spinning with Yente from Ming Wolding on YouTube. I'm spinning with her group this year. I know Jillian Eve has a group, and there's a lot of other people who have groups. And basically, we set ourselves goals. You know, we try to spin X amount of yarn, and there's no prize or anything at the end of it. It's just a way of all of us fiber people encouraging each other and doing something. So we actually, with Yente, we did a swap. And I actually received my swap from Scotland. I think it was Scotland or Ireland. I was trying to see if I could see where my box is. But we've been waiting till a certain time to actually open our boxes and share them. So that's why I have not shared it with you yet. But there's some really great things in it. So that's some stuff that I will probably spin up during Tour de Fleece. But I have, for my goal, I really, really, really need to get this yellow fleece done. So I have these bats that are ready to go and ready to be spun. I have this box, which is kind of compressed, but I have been carding the individual little locks because there was so much VM in this fleece. When I tried to do it, it's around here somewhere. When I tried to do it and run it through the big carder without doing this first, I still had way too much VM in it. So I've been doing this before I run it through the carder, but then that takes a whole lot of time going back and forth. So then I started thinking, okay, I'm just going to sit and work on this. Then I can take this and then run through the carder, because I only have to, once I've done this, it's so nice and cleaned and straightened, I only have to run it through the carder one time. So that goes pretty quickly. And if I have this already ready, that will go quicker. So I've been sitting and working on that. If I sit here, I work on the pop lock from Clems and Clems, lock pop from Clems and Clems. Or if I'm sitting over watching TV, then I've been doing it in my lap with the hand card and doing the same type of thing I'm doing here on this. Trying to get through this fleece so that then for Tour de Fleece, I can get the stuff spun. And I mean, technically it's still, I'm working with the fleece, whether I'm processing it or whatever. So I could still be working on this, but I really, really was trying to get this part done before Tour de Fleece started so that then I could just concentrate on spinning the whole time. So that being said, it looks like I have a lot, especially when, like I said, this is kind of compressed in here. There is a lot in this. I've been pushing it down. So this is totally full and ready to go through that. Those bats are already done. However, if you've been following along on that video series, because I do have the video where I went through and scoured and everything, and then I dyed it, natural dyes. This has all been dyed with Osage orange. And then I have one where I was carding it. Obviously, I only carded some. And then I have, well, I guess that was the last one, was the carding. So the next one is the spinning, and then whatever I make from it, which I've been planning a sweater. Move the Inkaloom out of my way. Stay. I still have all this that needs carded. There's a lot of fleece in here. There was I think around 3 pounds. So I'm usually telling you guys ounces. There's like around 3 pounds of this stuff. And you can see this is kind of pushed down in here too. There is a lot of fleece in here. Ooh, look how pretty, so dark down there. Different dye bats. There's different colors. But there's still a whole lot of fleece in here that needs to be carded. And today's the 2nd. Tour de Fleece starts on the 5th. Tomorrow I'm going to be gone all day, so nothing is getting done on it tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to have it all done by the time Tour de Fleece starts. Because I've been working on this how long now? Look, the more I play with it, the more it fluffs up and you can see more in there. Yeah. But that's my goal. My goal, if it happens, which is one of the reasons why I haven't started another project, another knitting project or something like that, because I want to focus on this right now. My goal is to, if nothing else, at least have this all carded by the end of Tour de Fleece, but I would like to have this carded and spun, or at least some of it, have it all carded and have some of it spun up. But if I could have it all carded and all spun by the end of Tour de Fleece, that would be awesome. I've tried to con my son into helping me card it, but he said no. So yeah, this is my Tour de Fleece. What I hope to be my Tour de Fleece. So stick around if you would like to see if I actually complete my goal. My next few videos are going to be Tour de Fleece videos because it is Tour de Fleece. So check in with me every week and see how I'm doing through the end of July and see if I can actually complete my goal. So if you've stuck with me this long, leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you think that it's possible for me to complete this or not. And if you like my video, please click like and subscribe. You guys know I had really worked to get to 1,000 subscribers so I could start making money. The only problem is I've made well over 1,000 subscribers now, so thank you to each and every one of you. But for some reason, I think my videos are not getting kicked out in the algorithm, which is possibly because of people not clicking like and stuff. And I keep getting fewer and fewer views on my videos. I'm still gaining subscribers, but my video views are going way down, which is very sad for me. You know, it doesn't make you feel great when you look at your videos and there's hardly any views. So please do make sure and click like. It really helps. I have not been able to be monetized yet because I do not have enough watch hours. And I would like to be able to have something help support what I do here. I hope you guys enjoy seeing what I do. If there's something that you think you would like to see me do, let me know, because I want to put stuff out there that people want to see. I want to do things that I enjoy, obviously. And that's what I plan to keep doing, is sharing with you the things I'm doing and the things I'm enjoying doing. But I just hope you guys like to see those things. If you know somebody that you think would enjoy my content, please share it. So hope to see you guys in the next one, which will be Tour de Fleece. So thank you all. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye.